Hello again, and welcome to Winning with the Wrangler at Dick Powell's Leadership Corner, brought to you by Earth, Wind, Fire, Water Training and Development, where our passion is building leaders of today and tomorrow. Leaders, the information on today's program comes from many different places and many different people. So if you hear yourself in our conversation today, please realize it is not all about you. Now, when you're ready for the Leadership Wrangler to come and put on a seminar on leadership and accountability at your location for your people, all you have to do is give us a call at 727-422-1833. Now remember, we book up pretty quick over the years, so make sure you give us that call real quick and get on our schedule. Now, today's piece that we're going to talk about, we're probably going to have more time for more than one. So we're going to start off with something we call Boff. B-O-F-F. Business, organization, family, friend. Now, when Miss Robin brought this to me, I have to tell you, I kind of juggled this a little bit and said to her, I said, well, why do we need to talk about this? So, why is it so important? And she said, quite frankly, if you want to build your Boff, you must build leaders. You see, as a leader, our biggest call is to build more leaders. So when she came up with this Boff, business, organization, family, friend, I have to tell you, we started to grab a hold of it and really understand and realize that we were responsible for some things. You see, building leaders in today's society needs to start at an early level, in childhood. That's right. The younger, the better. We are all born with an innate conscience of what is right and what is wrong. The question of nature versus nurture is one that goes together and has been going on for a long, long time. This is because people do what people see and people repeat what people hear. The reason organizations, okay, let me go back. This is because people repeat what people hear, okay? The question stems from who is responsible that everybody else is listening to. So is that responsible person a parental unit, which that's what my daughter came home with and calls Miss Robin and myself? Or is it the responsibility of the churches? Is it responsibility of the schools? Is it responsibility of the colleges, of the other organizations that young people might get into? And the career paths need to be continuous instruction grounded. What we're trying to say here is this whole thing of building more leaders and also building your Boff, it becomes everyone's responsibility. Not just, mom and dad, not just the people at school, not just the people at church, not this, but all of those folks. You see, in this, we see that as we teach the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, becomes something that gets lost in translation from time to time. Our job is to encourage everyone to live by it. Think how it would make the world so much better if we did. Now, I realize it sounds pretty simplistic. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Not all of us have that same moral value and code. I will say that I truly believe we're all born with it, knowing right from wrong. And then we really start to live our life. And it's with our parents, our guardians at the beginning. But as we go through, we're out in the open more and more, and we're making choices of who we're hanging around, and we make choices of what we're going to do. So we need to consciously and consistently work to break the poverty mentality. Now, I know that I've switched gears a little bit, but I believe this all goes together. We need to instruct everyone how money works and how to use it. So many times I hear people say, well, money's a terrible thing. It's awful. Well, it's just a tool. It's a tool. I grew up in a house where money was not good. It wasn't a lot of it there, but I had parental units that believed that anyone else who had money must have gotten it through ill gain or were evil people. That's just not true. But I had to learn that on my own, and I had to make those decisions in farther life. But if we could teach people how money works, it certainly would change how things are happening in the world. You see, each of us needs to learn ways to live within our income. Sounds like everybody tells you that, but boy, is it just a lot harder than it is, because we're kind of pre-programmed from today's society that you just go out and buy whatever you want and put it on a credit card. And how destructive that is. Credit is not terrible if used in certain wise ways. Like you're buying a home, long-term investment. Much different than if you're going to go down and buy fancy rims for your car. And the rims and tires cost more than what the car is worth. Think about it. We need some parenting classes at all levels, youth through grandparents. One of the biggest things that happened to Robin and I is we took a class called PET, Parent Effectiveness Training. And we did it as our kids were actually about half raised by that time. We got that. We both said, oh my goodness, if someone had just put this in front of us and we could have learned these techniques when our children were little. Because most of us, I have to tell you, our parents do the best they can with the knowledge they have, but they don't seek out these type of opportunities. The other thing we really went and sought out was how to handle our money. And we found those two things, even though we teach it and preach it, or everybody we get to talk to, are two things that parental units don't like to discuss with their children. Don't know why, but it is. We need to instruct simple life skills like how to shop, how to go to the grocery store, what's good for you, what's not, how to cook a meal, 30 minutes or less, how to make a purchase, is a need or a want, and where to focus our ongoing learning, and the list goes on and on. You see, life skills really boil down to emotional intelligence, EQ. And then it goes to the next level is, how do I take care of myself? Can I do the laundry? Can I wash my clothes? Can I make a simple meal? Can I sustain myself? And as we do that, we find ourselves growing in new ways of finding different ways to make that happen. But if we've grown up in a society where every meal is eaten at a restaurant or somewhere on the fast food chain, and we've never learned those things, this is a terrible, scary thought, cooking my own meal. It's a simple thing to have some instruction on that. It's a simple thing to have some instruction on how to use the washing machine, or how to use the dryer, or what do you do with those things, or how to sew a button on. Over and over, Robin and I meet people that don't even understand how to, thread a needle and thread, how to put a button back on. But when we focus on life skills, here's what it does. It also focuses on how do we handle our money, whether it's a need or a want. We look at it as money as a tool and not as something that's negative or terrible. You can't help people around you if you don't have money. It's just a fact. Now, I believe totally, with all my being, that we're all born with the potential to become great leaders. I believe we're all born with that potential, that we have that leadership ability born within us. The difference is some people really get excited about it and go and want to learn more, and go and learn more how to take and put it in place in their own lives, as well as share it with those around them. These simple things that I've talked about about life skills, how to shop, cook a meal, make a purchase, is a need or a want, becomes a bigger piece in the scope of what leaders are called to do. Leaders, we're called to be leaders, but we're called to lead other people. We're called to instruct and bring up more leaders behind us. So let me give you a little hint here. First of all leaders need to be instructable. In other words, you have to have an open mind enough that when someone brings some information for you, that you need to listen and discern and then know whether to put it in your life or not. You make the choice. And when somebody tells me that, hey, Dick, I didn't have a choice. Well, we all had a choice. I grew up on a dead-end street. My folks lived from Friday to Thursday. And, when I got older, I made a choice not to live that way. I made a choice to get out of that location. I made a choice to work a couple jobs to get ahead. I made a choice, whether it was sweeping floors or digging holes. I made a choice. And I truly believe everyone has that choice. Now, some instructable leadership qualities that I'd like to share with you, and hopefully you'll write down, because these are powerful pieces. There's 12 of them. Just listen. If you're driving in your car, don't try to write. But if you're at home, if you have the time to actually spend a few moments and jot these down, it is going to help you grow yourself and all those around you. All right, some instructable leadership qualities. Number 1, involve everyone to create a path to follow to achieve the vision. What that means is you need to have a vision, a future picture. The mission is your purpose, your calling, and your plan is what you're going to do daily, every day, so you can live your mission and achieve your vision. But we want to involve other people in that. Biggest thing I can suggest to you here, or kind of encourage you, is to write down that vision and share it with other people. You see, you just never know who's going to be sitting next to you who can help you achieve your vision. Okay? But if you don't have it written down, you can't share it. Only person knows about is you. Nobody can help you. And they probably wonder what the heck's going on. Number 2, this was high on my list. Building relationships. Learning how to build relationships with other people is a must. I tell the story about the person that I worked with who said that he said he couldn't understand this building relationships and what it meant to his company, his business. And I asked him how his business was doing. He said, well, it's not doing really good. And so I said, well, do you think if you built some relationships with the people within your corporation and without, you think it'd be any better? He said, well, I don't know. I said, would you try it out? Would you really be intentional about building some relationships in this next week before we meet again? And he went, well, I guess so. So I don't think he was really excited about it. But here's what happened. That next week, he tried to build a relationship with just one person within his organization. And by that, he found out that this person was married, had 2 children, had a couple dogs, loved to fish. And here the owner had a big boat that never got used. He said, evidently the owner said to him, would you and your buddies like to go out sometime? Well, all of a sudden the bridges started getting built. Now what that did for his company very quickly, it let the people know that worked with him that they worked with him, not for him. And that camaraderie that built on that simple Saturday afternoon was enabled his whole team to grow. And his whole team started doing the same thing, being intentional about building relationships. On the outside, he found that when he was sharing with people outside of his work zone what was going on and how he was doing it, and he started taking some really time to build relationships with people outside the organization. Well, he found his happiness quotient went way up, and so did his family time. So building relationships is very important, but you have to be in the moment. You've got to be intentional, and you have to do it all the time. Number 3, conflict management. Instructable leadership qualities, conflict management. You know, we're always going to have conflict. I mean, that's just, you get more than 2 people in any room, and sometimes just 2 people in a room, and they're going to disagree on something. But you see, great leaders know how to manage that. They know how to move it into from a fight flight, okay? They move it into a discussion intensity. It makes a big difference. Now, sometimes leaders have to set down some ground rules. Well, we're going to have this discussion, and it might get heated, but when we leave, we're still going to remain friends. Only one person is going to speak at any one time, and the other person is going to listen to the best of their ability and take some notes. And when the person speaking is all done, and they tell you they're all done, then you can ask a question. But you're only going to ask questions to the point of, I want to make sure that I heard you correctly, and I wanted to make sure that what you said is what you meant to say. That will take the conflict out of it very quickly, because they'll see themselves on the similar pages. Maybe not the exact same page, but similar pages. And then you can build that relationship, which helps everyone in the organization or the family build that path to achieve the vision. Wow, sounds pretty easy, doesn't it? Number 4, financial responsibility. Financial responsibility is every person's responsibility within the organization. The deal is there, if no one knows what the budget is, no one knows what the finances are, nobody knows what's coming in or going out, no one has any metrics of what's coming and going, it's going to be really tough for people to buy into it. The truth of the matter is people spend other people's money differently than they spend their own. Oftentimes in organizations and corporations and churches, people say, well, that's, we need this, so we'll go buy it. And they're not thinking that that budget needs to be withheld. It needs to be held tight, and it's there for a reason. So if no one is taking the responsibility for that in your home, in your organization, at your church, there's a problem. But I know you can do it. Number 5, build trustworthiness. In order to build trustworthiness between the leadership and everyone else is walking the talk, doing what you're saying. Make sure that you keep your appointments. Make sure that you're available to people who come through your door with a problem or an opportunity. But you need to make sure that it's always a two-way street. But if you're just telling somebody how good you are and you're really not, it's just not going to work very long. This thing of building trustworthiness, I've heard it over and over, that charisma will get you through the door, but character will keep you there. And character is what builds trustworthiness. Number 6, encourage honest feedback and criticism. When I was a director of a large organization, I oftentimes would go out and ask somebody, how am I doing? And at the beginning, they were not open to actually talk to me about it, because the person that they'd always worked for before, and I just was coming in, well, let's just say that didn't take that kind of things as an important piece. They took feedback as a slap against them or a negative piece. But it can be really important. How am I doing? Well, I don't think you're listening really well. Whatever it is, take it to heart. Don't take it to hit back with. You understand? Number 7, install high standards for integrity. Without standards, values, morals, people don't know what their guidelines are. And we all need guidelines. We can never, ever just wishy-washy go wherever the wind blows. It just doesn't happen that way. But high standards create high output, high productivity. High standards create excellent leaders. Just think about it. Oh, man. Number 9. Number 8. Realize that true leadership is not all about you. Ladies and gentlemen, True leadership is really about learning to delegate and learning to let go. True leadership is learning and using the leadership through the coaching opportunity. You see, it's not all about you. You've heard me at the beginning of each show always say, if you hear yourself in a conversation today, remember it's not all about you. Realize that this can be a super point for you by delegating and enjoying other people's gifts and talents. Oh man, this is good stuff. Number 9, know that there is always a price to pay. Leaders, there's always something. And the price could be my time. It could be investment. It could be that I need to do something else. You see, that price that you're going to pay, you can pay me now or you can pay me later, but you're going to end up paying it. When somebody gets started in a brand new business, I always ask this question, what are you willing to do to get to where you want to go? And it's amazing. The same answer comes out every single time. Dick, I'll do anything. And then I tell them that, well, we're just starting out, so there's going to be some long days, and there's not going to be many days off until we get this thing up and running. And they go, what? I thought I was the owner, and I could take off when I wanted to, and I could pay myself when I want to. And I said, well, it just doesn't work that way. So you need to know, pay me now, pay me later, but you're going to have to pay the price. And we in leadership all pay the price in some manner. I'll talk to you more about that on one-to-one if you just give us a call. Number 10, this one's important. If you didn't get anything else, write this one down. Instructable leaders know what their gifts and talents are. They know what they're good at, and they know what they're not good at. If you do not know what your gifts and talents are, I'm going to encourage you to give us a call here, 727-422-1833. Set up an appointment, and let's talk about it. Let's help you help yourself find out what they are. The sooner you know what your gifts and talents are, the sooner you can put them to work. And knowing what you're good and not good at, it means that's the place to delegate. There's some things I'm just not good at, like building my website. I had to delegate that. That's not my thing. It's not what I'm good at. I could have done it, but it would have never been the quality of what it is now. So know what your gifts and talents are. And if you don't, I just encourage you. Send me an email, dick@ewfw.org. Do something and move yourself ahead by finding that out. This goes right with number 11, to identify your weaknesses and build on your strengths. If your strength is speaking, then build on it. Good storytellers are always in demand. If your weakness is the ideas of what to speak about, find someone to help you do that. If your strength is handling money and doing that, great, go do it. If it's one of your weaknesses, find someone to fill in. Know what you're good and what not at. Think about it. I always tell everybody, do what you do best and farm out the rest. And if they think about it, man, they go, well, that just makes good sense. If I'm not good at something, I'm going to find somebody who's quicker, faster, better, and knows how to do it. How much money is it going to save me when I do that? Well, quite a lot, actually. You're going to spend lots of hours trying to learn how to do everything and then trying to do them all yourself. Or you can delegate some things out and you find you're making more money. It just makes sense. Number 12, though. Number 12, for me, is a hot topic. I see this one kind of blown away in a lot of people that we work with. I could name some names, but I'll tell you what, I'm not going to. It is called, number 12 is called continuous ongoing learning. Walked into a gentleman's office one day, and he was in charge of a large corporation, and he'd built from scratch. And this organization did a certain thing. It was welding this certain piece. But in his office, there was no no magazines on welding. There was no books on welding. There was no correspondence on. His office was just as clean as a whistle, which I know a lot of people say, we know, clean desk is a happy desk. Well, and I always tell people a messy desk is a clean mind. But what struck me about it and as I asked him a question, he was not keeping up on the latest and greatest things that were happening, even within his chosen career, his chosen profession. And I asked him, I said, what happens if something collapses tomorrow? Are you going to be able to rebuild? Are you going to be able to do something with the knowledge you have? Or are you going to have to re-educate yourself? Well, he sat there in a moment and he kind of got it. So this ongoing continuous learning, when I visited again, I found that he'd gone back to the vocational tech school. And even though he owned the company that was doing the welding, he was taking a class himself, sharpening his skills. So he could talk to the people on the floor and out and about and the people he was selling to in a better manner, that he knew all the latest and greatest things. He found out the automatic welder that was a kind of a robot thing was really good at certain things, but could not do things underwater. You see, and he didn't know that before. And that's why I'm encouraging you. This ongoing continuous learning is just so important. Every week I take some kind of class. Every month I read some kind of book, on coaching or leadership. It's just what I do. So I'm encouraging you to do that. These 12 things are what we call instructable leadership qualities. Involve everyone to create a path to follow to achieve the vision. Relationship building. Conflict management. Financial responsibility. Build trustworthiness. Encourage honest feedback and criticism. Install high standards for integrity. Realize that true leadership is not all about you. Know that there is always a price to pay, no matter what. And know what your gifts and talents are. Identify your weaknesses and build on your strengths. And please practice ongoing, continuous learning. When your people see that you're doing this ongoing, continuous learning, they're going to say, we need to do that also. Because people do what people see, and people repeat what people hear. That's how important this whole piece is. Now, I see we're running out of time like usual, and I feel bad about this because I really, truly believe that this is one of the more powerful lessons that we can put across to you. This thing called, if you want to build your Boff, your business, organization, family, and friends, you must build leaders. And it's just a fact. Well, on behalf of myself, Dick Powell, and the whole Leadership Corner team, I want to say thank you for being a part of today's program. Our hope is that you've received a nugget of wisdom that will help you build yourself into a better leader. Now, our hope also is that if you have any questions or comments on today's program, please don't hesitate. Go ahead and give us a call. 727-422-1833. 727-422-1833. Send me an email, dick@ewfw.org. dick@ewfw.org. Go to the website, spend some time, look around, click on that little box, send us a message from there, www.ewfw.org, www.ewfw.org. Now, here's your challenge. I'm going to challenge each and every one of you listening today to do one of two things. Either A, call me, or B, send me an email. But I would like for you to take and contact me and tell me, what was the nugget of wisdom that you received today that you're going to put into your life right away? What is the nugget of wisdom that you received today that you're going to put into your life right today? And remember, that's an easy phone call, 727-422-1833. Send me an email, dick@ewfw.org. And until next time, this is D.W. the Wrangler saying, ride hard. ride fast.